This is a red cardinal. This is a dogwood in bloom, a Japanese maple in full spring color. And this is Murphy, a 9-year-old Australian shepherd. This is the story of a garden. And while it would be easy to show it as it exists today, its story begins with a continental divide of before and after, when our world overnight became painfully quiet. Like so many others, I began gardening that spring. For a few months, I stayed within a couple miles of my home in Tennessee, and for the first time I saw my backyard as a place where I could escape. The garden didn't begin with planting of flowers or digging a hole for a tree, but instead with this pond. When I moved into this house, it had the remains of a koi pond, a cracked liner, piled up rocks, and just enough water for my then puppy Murphy to use as his personal swimming pool. I got it up and running again, added a few water lilies and koi, and eventually the frogs showed up. 1 month later, it seemed like this slowed down world wasn't speeding up anytime soon. So I decided it was time to rip up the rotten deck that overlooked the pond and create something that would serve as the cornerstone of my backyard. I began drawing idea after idea, scouring books and websites for the perfect design, but nothing I found perfectly matched the vision I had in my head. With some help from my 14-year-old neighbor Eli, we spent 2 months in the hot sun creating a little corner of paradise. The porch took shape, and with hardly any building experience, I finished it up by the end of the summer. But I still didn't have any semblance of a garden. One day when I was up on the roof finishing the porch, my neighbor Duke came by to check it out and said,
"This kind of has a Japanese kind of vibe."
And that's when everything clicked. I remembered childhood days in my front yard, climbing a towering maple tree. When I caught up with my mom that summer, she reminded me this tree that changed colors throughout the year and had a low, wide, inviting branch structure wasn't just any maple tree. It was an Acer palmatum, a Japanese maple. With the porch complete that summer, I planted my first Japanese maple behind the pond, where it would be on full display from the screen porch. Little by little, with every job I worked, I started buying plants for the garden and trying to create a design. The backyard felt big, almost too overwhelming to control. It needed a vision. If I wanted my backyard to become a real garden, I needed to take a trip. The next fall, I visited one of my best friends in his hometown in Portland, Oregon. The first morning there, I visited the most beautiful garden I had ever seen. This garden had mystery and flow. You could never see the whole space from a single vantage point. I knew then that this is what I wanted my garden to look like, even in my own small way in a less forgiving climate in the southeast. And after I got home, I couldn't stop thinking about it that entire winter. In 2022, with the tea houses of Japanese gardens as my inspiration, I got back to building for the next phase of the garden. From the screen porch, I looked out at a dividing line to create a garden section that was somewhat hidden from everything I had created so far. The shed offered a landing spot, a distant view from the first structure. I cut its doors into an otherwise rectangular shape, which would look down a path directly to the pond and screen porch. Over the next 3 years, I slowly built up the garden intended to it, bringing in flowers and conifers, ferns and grasses, stones, and over 35 Japanese maples. Half of the Japanese maples came from a new friend named Khaled, who was retiring from 40 years owning a nursery. It took quite a few trips back and forth from his farm to bring those trees home. I promised him I would take good care of them. On rainy evenings, the garden turns Tennessee into a Pacific Northwest dream. The rain brings out the smell of cedar, reminding me of the exact day I started building my screen porch. On sunny days, water lilies unfurl and reach up to the sky. Our neighborhood birds visit the pond, taking their daily baths. Murphy and Phoebe watch over it in their own unique way. In the fall, the maple leaves burn red and orange before the garden takes its rest in the winter. This garden is far from perfect. It's far from complete. Some days I try to sit back and enjoy it, but most of the time I'm tinkering, making my morning and evening lapse. This is 6 years of carving out my own special corner in the world. It's hundreds of holes dug in the ground, 5 winters endured wondering if everything would survive. For now, it's a delicate blend of chaos and harmony, layers and layers of textures and color. This is the story of a garden.